Welcome back to day 2. I ate some canes, I took a little bit of a break, I watched some YouTube videos, but I'm back and I have another scary story for you guys. And this is actually part 2, so if you guys missed yesterday's video, go watch that one first because this is literally the second part to that video. I'm gonna get right into this because I'm so excited to keep reading this. Like, I literally messaged Tia when I was done filming the first part and I was like, I'm only halfway through, but I fucking love this story so far. I cannot wait to finish it, but I knew I needed to take like a little bit of a break so I wouldn't lose my voice. I was also hungry and I needed my camera to charge, but we're here, we're back. We're gonna get this shit started. This is actually the shortest intro I will ever have to any of my videos. I've been blessed. So this is part 2 to My Reflection Watches Me When I Sleep. Day 32. After a month since we moved and since I had started my new medication, I slowly became a prisoner to my home. I couldn't bring myself to leave the safety of my bed at night, not even to go to the bathroom or to even get a drink of water. If I was home alone, I'd leave the back door open so my dogs could roam and so I could get out easily if an escape was necessary. I couldn't even allow myself to have privacy anymore. I would change with the door open, I would take a shower and use the bathroom with the door open. I was changing, and I wasn't the only one who noticed. Gavin stopped asking how my days were and became distant. He would never say it to my face, but I know he thought I was losing it. He would leave earlier for work in the morning than he needed, specifically before I woke up so he wouldn't have to deal with me, and he began working overtime too. Victoria tried to invite me on lunch dates with our boss, Diane, but I always turned them down. Taylor called me multiple times a day to check in. Our son, Wisdom, even tried to get a hold of me by phone and email. I just didn't have the energy to truly tell anybody what was going on. I was sinking into myself. Even Hunter and Pete barely welcomed me home or snuggled with me anymore. I called Dr. Reeves again to request an appointment, but he convinced me I was fine and I should stick to taking my medication. I considered calling Danielle for her advice, but decided against it. I just began not taking my meds, and if I thought I was spiraling out of control then, I had no idea what was to come. Day 45. It had been a regular day at work. Everyone, including Victoria, basically ignored me now. Rumors had spread around the office that my medication was making me sick in the head. I didn't mind though. Keeping to myself didn't bother me much anymore. I had gotten home around 5:30. Usually when I step out of the car, I hear Hunter and Pete barking with anticipation from inside the house. It was routine. But on this day, it was quiet. Unfortunately, I didn't think much of it and continued to enter my house as I normally did, still expecting my boys to greet me with love. They greeted me with anything but love. As soon as I opened my door, I was knocked over by a strong force. Hunter. He stood on top of my chest, growling and baring his teeth in my face. My heart was racing. I was speechless. Pete stood behind his brother to the side of my legs, baring his teeth as well. "What has gotten into you boys?" I tried to sit up, but Hunter pushed me back down, snapping his jaw next to my ear. It was a warning. I looked back up at Hunter and then Pete. My boys. They didn't recognize me. I was trapped, and they never let their guard down. I laid there in the entrance to my home with a 100-pound cane corso on my chest and a 100-pound cane corso at my feet. I tried to even my breathing and avoid eye contact as I knew it would only challenge them further. It didn't work. I moved my head to the side a bit because the way my neck was positioned was uncomfortable. That set them off. Hunter grabbed hold of my upper left arm and Pete locked onto my right ankle. Both began to thrash my limbs around like a rag doll. All I could do was cry and screamed, and then only seemed to edge them on in their attack. Hunter's teeth dug so deep into my arm, I literally felt him tearing into the muscle and tissue. No doubt I was going to have permanent damage. I tried to move myself into the fetal position to protect my head, chest, and stomach, but their weight kept my body in a very awkward and painful position. Finally, I remembered watching a show on TV where a woman had been mauled by 2 dogs, and she pretended to play dead so they would stop attacking. That's what I decided to do. As much as it hurt to hold in my cries, I went limp and remained silent. It took around 5 agonizing minutes of my dogs assaulting me before they released my battered limbs and disappeared into the house. I cowered at the door for what seemed like forever, praying they wouldn't return to finish the job. I silently wept as I picked myself up off the ground and wobbled onto my front porch, closing the front door so they wouldn't be able to come back after me. I laid down on the porch swing to wait for Gavin to come home. As I waited, I looked at my wounds. My upper arm gash was bleeding through my sleeve, and my ankle was bruised and cut up pretty badly. Each laceration formed a set of bite marks. I just couldn't believe my sweet boys did this. They would never attack me. They were my babies, but I saw in their eyes they were clouded. They didn't know it was me they were attacking. Gavin pulled up to the house around 6:45. When he saw me lying on the porch swing, he rushed over to me to see what was wrong. I sat up and I was about to explain to him what had happened when I realized I no longer felt pain. I looked down at my arm and my ankle to see they were perfectly fine. There were no bruises, no bite marks, no blood of any kind. None of this made sense. I began to have a mental breakdown. Gavin, I swear I'm not crazy. Hunter and Pete attacked me when I came home. When I finally got away, I moved out to the porch and waited for you because I was scared they were going to come back. They tore up my arm and my ankle. I know it doesn't look like anything happened, but it did, I swear. My husband looked at me as if I had two heads. He inspected my arm and my ankle, but there were no evidence of an attack. He shook his head at me, not even uttering a word before entering our home. No, Gavin, don't. They could attack you. I raced in after him, terrified that he'd be mauled by them. But Gavin was in our living room, petting our boys who were happy with the affection and licking his face. The way my husband continued to look at me for the rest of the night told me all I needed to know. I had lost my sanity, my friends, and now I was losing my husband. What happened to me? Night 48. I was the first one in bed. Gavin remained downstairs, having a serious phone call with someone. He wouldn't tell me who. Our house isn't that big, so you can usually hear conversations easily, no matter what room you're in. But I couldn't hear what he was saying. It was as if he was purposely talking low enough so that I couldn't make out the conversation. I laid up in bed for an hour, glancing from my covered vanity to my dogs every now and then. I was getting worried. Gavin finally came up at 10:30. When he walked into our room, he seemed more than displeased. I sensed his displeasure was directed towards me, and I sat up, acknowledging him. Is everything all right, hun? He sat down on the bed, his back facing me. He ran a hand through his hair and sighed loudly. An alarm went off in my head, and I became attentive. Gavin, what is it? Willow, he said, peering over his shoulder at me. You have to tell me what's been going on with you. I had known this talk was going to happen eventually. I tried to avoid it for as long as I could, but my husband made it clear I couldn't avoid it any longer. So I explained to him everything that had happened since we moved in and I'd been put on the new medication. When I was done, his reaction didn't surprise me. So your solution to all of this was to lie to everybody who tried helping you, and you stopped taking your meds? Gavin's face turned red, and he angrily stood up from the bed, beginning to pace around the room. I couldn't come up with an explanation. He had cornered me. Do you even understand how worried you've had me for the past month and a half? Our children have told me how worried they are. Your boss called me and said you distance yourself from everybody. You hardly utter a complete sentence to me when I try to get you to talk. And your doctor had to be the one to call me and tell me you haven't ordered a new prescription and was checking to see if you were all right. Being married for 26 years, my husband and I had had our fair share of fights, but he had never yelled at me like this before. All I could give him in response was a shake of my head and a shrug. I wasn't sure what I could offer him at this point. Do you even understand how dangerous that is, Willow? Do you? The medication is keeping you alive, and I'm not going to lose you because you're too fucking stubborn to take some pills, damn it. His voice got louder and louder with each word, and each word stung more than the last. He was right. I was being stupid. I was being stupid and selfish, and that realization began to make me cry. Gavin walked over to me as I let the tears fall, and he held me until I calmed down. We both felt defeated in the situation. Listen, tomorrow we're going to go to the doctor's office to talk with Dr. Reeves about your medication. We'll see if there's a safe alternative for you to take. I understand you've been scared to talk to me about the strange things that have been happening in our house, but I don't think you're crazy. I believe you. We can get another priest to stop by and bless the house if it's going to make you feel better, Gavin whispered, his hold around me tightening a bit. Thank you, I sniffed, burying my face against his shoulder. I love you, sweetheart. We're going to get through this, okay? Everything will be fine. Day 49. Everything would not be fine. We did go and see Dr. Reeves the next day, but it didn't go as we had hoped. What are you saying? Gavin sat next to me in shock. He may have been shocked. I just felt numb. I'm saying, Mr. Hughes, that your wife is playing a very dangerous game here. Because she stopped her medication so abruptly, her body may not be able to receive the desired effects as before. Her damaged cells have already been exposed. Think of it as a coat of armor. Once that coat is removed, the enemy is attacked directly and it creates a massive amount of damage. If you put the coat back on, it won't heal the damage that it's done, just protect from further damage. I can't give you a guarantee that the medication could work as we want it to until I run some more tests. In the following weeks after our visit with Dr. Reeves, I was in and out of the hospital for multiple tests so that they could track and monitor my disease. It became a waiting game for my future. I stayed at Taylor's house because it was so close to the hospital for those few weeks, while my husband stayed at home with our dogs. And even he began to experience some of the occurrences that I had. The dogs would act strangely, things would be thrown across the room, and he saw a shadow out of the corner of his eye once or twice. I was actually thankful for this, as it meant I wasn't crazy. Gavin had the house blessed while I was away at our daughter's, and this time with a different priest and a positive outcome. Finally, my home would be my home when I returned. Day 71. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Hughes. Truly I am. But there's nothing more we can do besides prevent more damage to the cells. My MS had severely damaged my leg muscles and tissues as well as my pelvic area, and it was currently making its way up my spine. Dr. Reeves had just informed me that it wouldn't be long before I had limited movement in my lower body, and it looked as if I was going to need a wheelchair for the rest of my life. The news absolutely broke me and my family. For the following few months, I stayed bedridden. I had to leave my job and my independence behind. Taylor, Danielle, and Wisdom visited frequently. I wish they hadn't. I felt like a burden, not only to them, but to my husband too. He tended to my every need, and it honestly began to annoy me, anger me. I wasn't frustrated with him. I was frustrated with myself. If I had just gone against my better judgment and went with a rational solution, I wouldn't be finding myself in this state. I would have been able to go to the bathroom and take a shower on my own. I would have been able to walk my dogs. I would have been able to watch my grandson and play with him by the pool. All of that was gone now. I went a whole week with that mindset, feeling sorry for myself, I mean. When Danielle came to visit me for the 4th time, she seemed to knock some sense into me. Mom, I know you're feeling a magnitude of depression, guilt, and anger towards yourself and your situation right now. And I know you're discouraged about your lack of privacy, but you need to know that we still love you no matter what. You're not a burden to us. You're not a burden to me. You gave me life. You gave Dad love. You gave all of us a shoulder to cry on and a boost of confidence when we felt that we were a burden to others. And now that I'm grown, it's my job to return that boost of confidence to you. I went outside for the first time in my wheelchair that day. For some reason, I thought the world would be different. Darker, silent. But the sun was out and people were soaking up the rays. I did too. Danielle and I spent the afternoon venturing around the neighborhood, laughing and talking about everything. And I told her everything that had happened. I told her how sorry I was and how I should have listened. What surprised me the most is that she apologized to me. No, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you felt like you couldn't talk to me about what was happening. Her words sent me over the edge for the first time in a long time. I cried all of my frustrations out. In the middle of the day, on the sidewalk, in front of all my neighbors with my daughter hugging me for comfort. I let everything out that I'd tried holding in for so long. I shed my old skin and allowed my new skin to grow over. Day 75. It has only been a few days since my heart-to-heart with Danielle, and my forgiveness to myself. I write this to tell you that all has been well with me mentally. I know that I was not hallucinating, and the house has been quiet, for the most part, since the blessing. I've kept the vanity to our room covered just in case. But I believe we may need more help than I originally thought. I'm bedridden, so I can't move much. Hunter and Pete still sleep in the bedroom and were relaxing with me a few moments ago before they both became alert and began to growl at my vanity. I'd be lying if I said goosebumps didn't immediately form over my skin. And to my dismay, Pete jumped off the bed and began to tug on the towel covering the vanity mirror until it fell off. I wasn't surprised at what I saw. It wasn't laying in bed, but standing at the end of it, flashing its smile at me. I'll have to wait for Wisdom to visit later today to cover it again. I may not be able to run, but I'm thankful I can still use my hands. I can still write. And I'm thankful that I'm still able to close my eyes. No matter how much I may ignore it though, I still feel it watching me. As I write to you now, it's watching me. 2 months ago, it began to watch my life fall apart. Holy shit, and that's the fucking end. Okay, Tia, okay, please write more. Actually, please write more to this. I say that to every single story, but you actually need to write more. I say this every single time, and I'm gonna continue to say it with every single story I ever read, but I do not understand how you people write these. I have no idea how you do it. I'm not talented. I have no talent. Wow, awesome, great. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. I feel like I got through that story so quickly, so I'm not sure if this is going to be like quite an hour long, like little 2-day thing. It's probably gonna be closer to like 40 minutes or so. I've only been recording for like 20 minutes, so I can't imagine that this is gonna be longer than like 10 to 15 minutes, but yesterday's was a little bit longer, I think. Maybe I'm just getting really good at reading shit. I don't really stutter anymore. I remember the story I read for, oh my god, was it like 20K or 10K? I can't remember what I had hit, but I read like an hour-long story and it literally took me 4 hours to film. Like this only took me maybe an hour, so I'm actually really proud of myself right now. I'm having a very good English day, but I really hope you guys enjoyed this story. This was seriously one of the best stories I think I've ever read. I love it so much, and please write more. Tia, I know you're watching this. You have to write more. Like I said yesterday, if you guys have any other stories that you want me to read, please send them to me. I promise I'm not going to stop this series. Like I really want to keep this going, especially after reading this. I remember how much I love these and why I started doing this series to begin with. I'm so excited to edit this and get this up for you guys. But yeah, okay, I will see you in the next one. Bye. The crazy thing about YouTube is like I'll do a series and I'll really enjoy the series while I'm filming it, and then at one point it's like I'll have an idea for it, and maybe for like a couple weeks I'll be really unmotivated to film that video just for some reason or another, and then eventually when I film it I'm like, god damn it, like I love this, like why didn't I film this before? Like I'm in such a good mood right now because I'm like remembering how much I love this. Like this is one of my favorite series I think that I could ever do. But okay, yeah, okay, so I'm excited. Sorry that it took me so long to upload a video like this, like a scary story, but I'm so glad that I did. Okay, bye. Sorry, see ya. Okay, wait, I almost forgot to mention, I said this in yesterday's video, but I want to say it again. Tia has another book coming out on May 20th. It's called Posted, and it has 5 thriller scary short stories. So that's coming out again like in like a month, so I'm gonna keep you guys updated on that. I'll keep you posted on it. I hate myself. Okay, bye.